Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first reading of 2023. Obviously, this is for entertainment purposes because people can make decisions and energies can change and things can happen. There's no guarantees, but I tell you as I see it and as I interpret the cards from my point of view. Welcome back, everybody. The first three cards that I've drawn are from the Osho deck. So let's see what they have to tell us today about January, February, and March of 2023. The first card is schizophrenia. Patience. And a very interesting card, conditioning. Now, when I have a look at these cards, what comes to mind here with schizophrenia, it really does give me the idea that we are stuck between two worlds. It talks to me about new twists to old ideas, being stuck between indecisiveness and duality of mind, and there really doesn't seem to be a right answer when this card comes up. The guidance that you've been given here is to follow your instinct, to use your logic, to be practical, and to allow that practical logic and your intuition, obviously, to just guide you in terms of what is right for you at the time of you making your decisions and your choices, because everything may seem at times a little bit contradictory, but you are being guided to look for the order within the chaos, because there definitely is some type of order. And it just brings that quote to mind, and I'm not sure who said it, and if you do know, you're welcome to post it in the comments. If you're going through hell, keep going. So if you are going through your own personal hell at this time, I will say to you, please keep going, because it's not the right place for you to stop. It's not the right place for you to camp or make yourself comfortable in your discomfort. Just keep going. Find ways that you can use what you have to your best ability and for your best outcome. Find ways to integrate information that you're receiving, whether it makes sense or not. Because even in a lie or even in a miscommunication, there is always an element of truth. So you've been guided to take all of the information that you've been given and to almost integrate it into a more cohesive and workable format for you, if I can put it to you that way. So there is loads of conflicting information that's going around. So the guides are just saying, stay centered. You can only count the chickens that you already have in your hands, not the ones that you're waiting for. So don't make any plans on promises. Don't make any plans on expectations. Your guides are really talking about you utilizing what is in front of you, what you've got, what you have, what you've got in your bank account. Don't spend money that you don't have, because you might be getting, or you're expecting money in a couple of days, couple of weeks. It's that kind of example. The second card of patience talks to me about new ideas and new passions. So sometimes it's also talks about that your best action is to take no action. As you can see, the picture on the card is of a lady being pregnant, and we all know that it takes a certain phase of development in order for the fetus to be viable, to be able to live, to survive. And they are saying that in this case, it's almost like the energy is pregnant with all of these potential outcomes. And it can go, either way at this stage. There is a high road and there is a low road, and we need to just wait until the murky water settles and everything becomes clear again. And as you see with those moon cycles above her head, it's not going to happen overnight, but it is a very slow and steady and consistent process and progress. So I do feel that this is a positive change. I do feel, as you see here, all the murky water below her, but then around her there are the line drawings of those flowers, which indicate to me that that's not that the positives aren't fully developed yet, but the murkiness is a bunch of, I'm going to call it stew. You can't really find the components of it because there's just so much in there. But if you give it time, those flowers will develop into how it is that we can identify each individual, rather than as you can see here, whether the leaves and the petals are all the same color. It's just a wash of color. That the flowers, the goodness is sort of superimposed onto. So here, this is really talking to me about lots of things happening behind the scenes. Even when we think that nothing's happening, lots is happening behind the scenes. So it might be that maybe there's a timing issue at play, or perhaps the I like to call them the ducks aren't all properly in a row. They might be in the near vicinity, but not properly in a row yet. So they're just talking about you staying alert, staying patient, and waiting until things are ready to bloom. Now, there's already a progression between the first card and the second card, where the first card, as you can see, that chap's really in a little bit of a precarious position, choosing, or being stuck between those two sides. And there's a very real chance that it looks like you could either fall down that chasm, or that chasm actually changes into something solid. So not everything is as it seems. So it can just be an optical illusion, let's put it that way. My eye is being drawn up to I'm not sure if you can see it. Let me bring the card a little bit closer here. If you see on the top there are little birds in the picture. Let's see if they can focus. So there are the little birds in the picture, which talks to me about news. All right. So there might be a lot of news, or not enough news, or news that is maybe miscommunicating information. So yes, everything isn't as it seems. Now, what does concern me a little bit is the card 3, the conditioning card, which in the normal Rider-Waite tarot card, the traditional tarot cards, is actually the devil. Now, this card talks about the lion, being adopted by a herd of sheep and not realizing that he is a lion, and thinking that he's one of the sheep, until one day a lion comes along and asks him what he's doing and why is he a lion behaving like a sheep. And then he realizes, takes him to the river, looks at his reflection, and then realizes that actually he's not a sheep, he is actually a lion. So this talks to me very much about potential, that people that you thought were harmless, or situations that you thought were on your side, or that had your best interest at heart, actually turn out not to be. Now, it's that proverbial wolf in sheep's clothing here. It's just illustrated by a lion. So this card really asks you a couple of questions, and some of them might be, who are you in your situation? Are you a conglomerate of everybody else's opinions, or are you having the need to be the lion in the sheep's clothing? Does your ego need that? Do you always like to be the one perhaps that is going against everything that everybody else says? How much of who you are and what you do is actually a result of other people's and maybe your own opinions and expectations? So this just talks to me about it maybe being the right time for you to now invest in yourself physically, possibly educationally or spiritually, because you may be feeling quite tired of the old ways. And that brings us back to our first card and our second card, being quite tired of, your old ways of being. So now is a very good time for you to maybe reinvent yourself, for you to possibly let go of stuff that no longer suits you or serves you, or that who you used to be but who you aren't anymore. Let the real you come out. So, giving yourself permission to make new choices and changes based on new information that's coming through to you. So there's no shame in doing a 180-degree turn where you thought, oh, this isn't exactly the right information and exactly the right people and exactly the right decisions and, whatever to back and align with, and then finding out that actually the person or the institution or the situation isn't who you thought that it was, to actually then go, okay, no, I don't want that anymore. I made that decision to be aligned with you based on the information that I had on that at that particular time. But now that I've got more information, I'm making different decisions that are more aligned to who I am now. So this is very much about you, as I said, giving yourself permission to make new choices and changes based on this new information, and to release maybe some of your own hidden potential. So it's the guides are reminding you that it's not your job to change or to convince other people. Your only job is to improve yourself and your own situations, and other people automatically benefit from that anyway. So it's quite annoying when somebody else is trying to change you or convince you or pressure you into being what their version of what they think that you need to be, and it's unsurprising that other people feel the same when you're doing it to them. So just keep that in mind as you navigate the first three months of 2023, that there's a lot that's going on. I do think politically there's going to be a lot of revelations, but we'll deal with the global stuff in a little bit. But in your own personal lives, I just feel like utilize the opportunities that are coming forward for you, because there are a lot of opportunities that are coming forward for you. And despite what we may think, sheep are actually really intelligent beings. So there is that negative connotation of saying, well, the sheep just follow each other. Well, that might be so, but they're always following a leader. So you can either be the led or you can be the leader. So if you have a look inside to see what it is that are your highest potentials, maybe what your soul purpose is, or what your individual and independent thoughts bring forward for you, that maybe you move from being the led to being the leader. But again, I'm just picking up that social conditioning. Just make sure that maybe you're not falling for propaganda, and listen, this can go both ways. You might think that other people are falling for propaganda, but actually I think propaganda is on everybody's radar at this stage. So whether it's a them or an us situation, I think everybody's getting propaganda to some degree. So yes, patience, even though things look like they are all over the place, it does look like there is going to be a way to move out of it, if I just judge by these three cards. Now the Five of Raphael. Everything happens for a reason. Release regret, embrace opportunities for happiness, and search for the silver lining. The Queen of Gabriel. You can do anything right now. Go after what you want, the ability to attract helpful people. This is usually the Queen of Wands in a traditional deck. And the Raphael card is usually the Five of Cups, Raphael of Cups. And this is the Five of Michael, which is the Five of Swords. And this says the situation doesn't serve you. Release your attachment to the outcome. Consider taking a more uplifting approach. And as we know, the Swords cards always deal with thoughts and words and actions and communications and ideas, decision making and assertion of power. And that can be physical, personal power, as well as intellectual power. Just thinking about intellectual power, putting it underneath that conditioning card. They're telling you to, look at maybe being the leader instead of being the led. And this ties in very nicely with that Michael card of, letting go of what doesn't serve you and taking a more uplifting approach, taking your power back and sending yourself in a different direction. So let's start with the Five of Raphael and let's see what this card tells us. So everything happens for a reason. This might not be a time for you to be focused on empty boxes, but rather looking around for the gifts and the full boxes that you can focus your attention on, the blessings and the things of value. So wow, I'm always so amused at how these things tie in together. So they were talking about, finding the order in the chaos, and that's exactly finding the good in the bad, the yin yang. There's good in bad and bad in good, everything in moderation, because even good things can kill you. So this is very much about there's still a little way to go, but things are going to improve. They will get better, but you do just need to be focused on the solutions. All right, there are definitely things of value in your life. So if you're going through a little bit of a stormy or muddy position at the moment, they are just saying to you that you do have help, angelic help, or help of your guardians, guides, ancestors, and family in spirit, and they're just saying, I'm just seeing that figure displayed in the mirror. And this tells me about, maybe starting your day with some positive mirror work, positive affirmations when you brush your teeth in the morning, when you're looking yourself in the eye, and just give yourself a little bit of support. You can do this thing. You've got all the tools that you need. You've survived 100% of the days that you've lived so far. So little examples of those kinds of affirmations, which are 100% true, can actually give you the emotional boost that you need to sort of get over those empty boxes that you have been looking at, all the things, the job losses and the power cuts and the, things becoming more expensive and all of that kind of stuff that's impacting everybody's lives at this stage. But they're saying, yes, we understand that things aren't ideal, but better things are definitely coming. So when I have a look at the middle card, the Queen of Gabriel, that talks to me about the fact that you do actually have a whole lot more talent and skill than what you realize. So maybe that's what she needs to look at. Instead of looking at everything that's gone wrong or that she doesn't have a look at the stuff that she does have. So you're having, more talent and skill than what you realize. You need to have the confidence to actually, again, look outside of the box. And I love the way the guides use these words that are so relatable. Looking outside of the box to maybe create what it is that you want to see in the world. I'm seeing here in the card here for our Hindu viewers, or for those that subscribe to that pantheon. I'm seeing the elephant, which is Ganesha, and Ganesha talks very much about making a way where there isn't a way. On this picture of Ganesha, let me pick it up so that we can get it into better focus. You'll see that this elephant is traveling with, very many years back, they used to travel on seated on the back of the elephant. And obviously things and people's opinions and the way that elephants are treated nowadays, or even back then, wasn't very good. But that's not part of the message. The message is, well, obviously treat your vehicle the way that you want to be treated, but also that if you are on the back of the elephant, then being on the back of the elephant, you are safe, you are secure. The elephant is the one, because it's so much bigger than you and so much tougher than you and so much maybe braver than you, because it's larger in stature than you. Can actually, things that would bother you, like walking through waist high brush for us would be, ankle high brush for the elephant as it goes about its day. So that palm tree also makes me think about an oasis, which would indicate heading towards better things. So this is, about really just trusting that if you've got everything that you need to be able to get you to where it is that would be good for you, where it is that you do want to actually head towards. So as they say, be the kind of person that you would like to be around, be the kind of person that you want to see in the world, be the kind of person that creates a situation that would answer the prayers that you have about your life and your situation and the world at large. So, they're also talking about, taking back your feelings of independence, because the queen is on par or peerage with the king, but she's independent. Nobody tells the queen what to do. I'm also just getting drawn down to the cat, but let me just finish this thought. So taking back your feelings of independence and confidence and bravery, because maybe it doesn't serve you to wait on others to provide for you. Maybe it serves you better for you to actually take back that power and do the smallest, easiest thing that you can. Use what you've got and start where you're at, in order to start your journey to the end goal of prosperity. Because I just feel that by doing that, the universe is definitely going to match you step by step. You put in your 50% or your 100%, and the universe is going to put in their 50% or their 100%. So I would just say to you, given the fact that that elephant has come to my attention, and the cat, which indicates it talks to me about Bast, the Egyptian goddess that is associated with cats. But the message around this is all about being flexible, because cats always land on their feet. I'm quite sure that you've heard that. So cats always land on their feet. So no matter what turmoil you're busy going through, you're going to land on your feet. Okay. Cats are flexible. Cats are independent. Cats are able to provide for themselves. And they are there's a system of belief that says that they move between the worlds, so the physical world and the spiritual world, which just tells me that maybe if you are so inclined to maybe put it out there, or pray, or do some mindfulness or affirmations, whatever it happens to be, and ask for support from the higher beings to help you and to guide you on this way. But if you look at the back there, she's got her back towards the drought. She's got her back towards the parts where there's no growth, and in front of her there's a lot of growth, there's a lot of greenery. So that, and she is quite she looks quite comfortable in this picture. So I would definitely say that better things are coming, but it is going to take the patience. It's amazing how we've got the queen is also sometimes seen as a little bit of a maternal figure, so you've got the mother figure, the patience of the pregnancy, and everything coming in its good time. And I'm also just getting drawn up to the fact that the mother can provide the sustenance for the baby when the baby arrives. Nature's given her that ability to provide for whatever happens next. So for the family, going on from there. So this Five of Michael also just talks to me very much about spending your time and obviously your money wisely. Now, having been under this conditioning card, I would say to you that maybe have a look at, sorry, I just knocked the camera. Maybe have a look at how much, if you are maybe wasting time on watching things that are actually, well, wastes of time, gossip videos, or videos about drama, or videos about things that you can't do anything about, that's actually just, well, time wasters. And Michael is just talking very much about you. If you are focused on drama, you're going to bring drama into life. If you're focused on gossip, there is a system of belief that says you're going to be the average of the 5 people, things, or places that you spend the most time with. So do you want that drama or that gossip or those waste of time situations to actually be less than that? And the normal person would say, well, no, I do it because it's relaxing, or because I'm interested in following what happens next, or whatever the case is. And Michael is just saying, well, that's fine. I mean, everybody needs some time off, but your time might be better spent, as I mentioned to you earlier, about educating yourself, or expanding your interests a little bit, maybe spending some time outdoors, because I am seeing some outdoorsy type farmland and all that in the picture. So see how by focusing on something more positive or better aligned with who you are now, and leaving all that drama, whether it's family drama, or TV drama, or royal family drama, or political drama, or whatever it happens to be, drama, maybe focusing, being aware of it, but she definitely knows this stuff is there, but it's empty. Focusing more on stuff that can actually help you, that can make you feel better, can be of benefit to you going forward. So I really do feel that if you you take your power back, as been suggested in the middle card, and start doing things that make you feel better about yourself, that make it easier for you to provide for the family. As you can see, these clouds are starting to part, and the sun is busy coming through here. So this again talks to me very much about it might be a waste of time for you to be complaining and fault finding, and like I said, getting drawn into all of that drama. Maybe what you do need to do is, link your host pipe. This looks a little bit like a host pipe to me. Link your host pipe up to the pool of positivity, the pool of prosperity, and the use all of those positive reinforcements as they spoke to you there about in the mirror. Link that up, and then water your life with that positive, life-giving, self-improving, helping everybody else by influence type of energy. So they're also talking about maintaining the high ground. It doesn't help if you're at the bottom of the pit with everybody else in the gossip and the drama. Climb out that pit, separate yourself from all of that nonsense so that you can see things clearly, because you can definitely see things better from higher ground. And maybe that will help you to have a look in your pool of water and see that actually you've been a sheep, and you're actually a lion. You've been thinking you're a sheep, but actually you're the lion. So maybe now's a good time for you to take your life back, to maintain control over your emotions. Make sure that your words and your thoughts and your actions, and all your communications, and all of your ideas and all of your decisions, are all aligned with who you are now, because that's what's going to give you your power back. That's what's going to create the order in the chaos. That's what's going to help you to get through this time of waiting, to see things clearly. So I really do feel that this is very good, because the beginning of the year looks to me that it's going to start off a little bit hectic, but then it's going to become a little bit more focused, and a little bit more positive as we go along. So let's see what the next three cards have in store for us for January, February, and March. Right, we have the next three cards. The Word Lord, communication, praise, dishonesty. A beautiful illustration. The Web Weaver, synchronicity, divine intelligence, cause and effect. The Camel Boy, small steps, asking for help. Isn't this amazing? Where was it that we saw the elephant, on the back of the elephant, and he's on the back of the camel? That's quite interesting. Right, let's see what these cards talk to us about. So the first thing that comes up for me here is the Word Lord, with new decisions, new laws possibly, justice being served, lots of investigations, thoughts and plannings are going into everything before any actions are being taken. And that speaks very much about that card at the top there with the patience. So the other intuitive information that's just downloading here is about, I'm just seeing the honeycomb in the crystal ball. Consideration of the structure in society. Oh gosh, they spoke about society and societal conditioning up there. So this is about consideration of the structure in society and remedies for social afflictions. Remedies for social afflictions. Wow. There is change through choice. And I do feel that there's life circumstances that need a little bit of effort to actualize, which is what came across in that patient's card. I do feel that opportunity is just around the way, but you are going to sort of meet it halfway. And I spoke about that a little bit earlier as well. I feel, I mean, obviously, this guy is sitting down and writing in his diary. It's taking notes, and this also brings very much to mind, writing your history or writing in your book of life, writing your story. And this card brings to mind about what story are you going to write when you look back on your life, when you look back on your situations, the things that you couldn't change and the things that you could change, or your situation and your decisions. What is going to go into your story, into your book of life? What is that going to be when you look back on your life one day? Is it going to be well, I could have done things different, or I should have done things better, or I stopped myself because of fear, or stopped myself because of maybe self-worth or confidence, or whatever the case is. So they're just saying maybe what you need to do is just have a look at the things that you feel are currently holding you back, and change your story. Just because it was true once doesn't mean that it's got to be true from today onwards. So I really do feel that you being, again, and I can't remember where it was that they were talking about education and changing things, but this is also, for some of you, there's definitely a going back to, whether it's back to school or college, or doing formal education, or doing informal education, self-teaching, self-learning. There's so much available. There's free on the internet these days. So maybe just, reinventing yourself. They used the word reinventing earlier as well, because there are so many choices that are available to you now that you would never have thought were a year ago, and your interests might have changed, and your need or your ability to provide for yourself, to be able to write your own story. Maybe for some of you that means literally writing a book, or writing possibly even writing down a list of grievances that you have about someone or something or some situation, whether it's writing to your government or your council, or your and letting them know your displeasure, because you pay their wages, and they work for you. So maybe that's putting that communication across. And for others, it might be writing down your list of grievances, and then forgiving those grievances, forgiving yourself for your part in it, forgiving the other person for their part in it, forgiving the situation for its part in it, and really just releasing stuff that no longer serves, closing that book and putting it back on the shelf as experience, so that might be something as well. This crystal ball with that honeycomb in it also just reminds me of a sunflower. Now, it's common knowledge that the way that the sunflower seeds are formed in the middle of the sunflower does align with sacred geometry, and each of those seeds are pure potential. Each of those seeds, if they've been pollinated, can actually become a whole new life, a whole new plant that can provide seeds in the same way, that they can eventually, from one sunflower, you can have a whole farm full of sunflowers, each producing seeds. So this is just saying, don't underestimate one small change, because one small change can provide you with a whole bunch of other opportunities that can be very positive, and that can then seed your plans, seed your new life, seed your new story. and other people can benefit from it because the birds eat it, and the little rodents eat them, and the ones that aren't fertilized fertilize the ground when they fall down, and the spent plant composts down, so that fertilizes the ground. So there's a lot of positives that come out from one small change, just one small change to your story, that can create a whole lot of very, very positive outcomes in ways that maybe aren't even apparent to you at the time that you make it. I mean, the sunflower doesn't say, okay, well, I'm going to make 175 seeds, and 3 are going to go to the birds, and 1's going to go to the little mouse that walks past you every day, and 4 will go into this direction and 5 will go into that direction. No, it doesn't. It just says, I'm going to be the best sunflower that I can possibly be. I'm going to make myself available for the opportunities of the bees coming around that can then pollinate me, and that I can grow and change and expand into parts of the land that weren't available to me up until this point. So don't underestimate the small things, is what that card is very much talking about. And I would say to that is definitely backed up by this middle card, the synchronicity, the divine intelligence, the cause and effect. And as they're saying there with the sunflower analogy, there's always going to be a consequence, whether it's a positive consequence or a negative consequence. So this is really about looking for creative solutions, because you want the consequences of negative decisions that you've made, or would you prefer the consequences of powerfully positive decisions that you make? Because we understand that every word and action and intention creates a vibration in the web of life. And as they mentioned earlier, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So choose wisely and surround yourself with those that will lift you up, because as the ocean tides rise, all the ships rise with it. So if your tide is rising through your small decisions, making one positive change in a day, will influence in ways that you are not even aware of in your own life, as well as in the lives of others. So they're just talking about keeping your eyes open for the synchronicities that are busy lining up. And they've told you to take your power back, and they've told you to focus and do those affirmations, because we all know that wherever you focus on, that's where the energy flows. So if you focus on the negative, then you're going to get more negative. If you're focused on the positive, then you're going to probably get more positive. If you're focused on growth and doing one small thing that's going to benefit, that's powerfully positive, you'll get your whole field of sunflowers. So this is definitely, don't underestimate the power of one small little seed, one small little egg that can grow into a whole new person. And if that can happen for human beings, it can definitely happen in other ways, because that is nature, that is the cause and effect of all things. So yes, small steps, that has spoken about the small steps in that honeycomb effect. So it's all the camel boy talks to you about, that you have what it takes to get to where it is that you're wanting to go, but it is going to take effort, it is going to take planning, and I want to say almost a practical game plan is going to be very necessary. The other thing, I mean, there is the guidance of, ask, believe, and then implement the practicalities in order for you to receive. I do feel, and this might sound a little bit strange, but I do feel that on a little bit more of a general scale, so like a global scale or country scale. I do feel that I'm being told that there is important information that's going to be coming from the land of camels. I don't know where the land of camels is, but that's the message that I've just received. They're also talking to me about the restricted becomes unrestricted. So the leash that's around the camel's neck here, I'm just seeing the camel shaking its head, putting its head down and shaking its head, and that leash or that rope around the camel's neck is it falls off. Okay. And again, I mean, if the camel's not being led around through their social conditioning, and somebody doesn't have the power to lead it around by that lead, that rope, then it can make its own decisions, because humans might be in control, but they don't necessarily know what's best. The camel has the instincts for living in those dry areas. They know instinctively where to find water and how to survive. And I mean, physically they're built to be able to store water and do all the other things and eat things that are inedible for anything and anyone else. So this is about trusting the nature of things and knowing that even though you might be feeling like you're being led around, if you take your power back and put yourself in the position of power and allow your experiences to guide you, asking for help along the way and taking small guided steps, I do feel that you will be able to not only get ahead, but get ahead well. Yeah, get ahead well. So I've got one card here that I've pulled from the Angel Answers card, and this is be assertive. Well, if that doesn't summarize everything that we've spoken about up until now, then I don't know what does. Be assertive. Know what you want, know what you're leaving behind, know what you don't want, but more importantly, know what it is that you do want so that you can take yourself in that direction. You can ask for help, but don't give up your own power. Your own power. I've pulled one card from the Aspects of Self cards. I just want to again get the energy on for more global reading. Okay, so the card is the Lovers. Let me just focus on this card. It's quite a nice card. She's a South African artist. And this is a deck from a lady that actually lives here in South Africa, in Cape Town, in fact. And she created this deck a couple of years ago. So let me just see what information comes out from this card for us. What we can know about 2023 on a more global scale. And please do forgive me, because as I always say to my friends and family, my geography sucks. So I've got up and down and left and right when I look at things. So I'm certainly no expert in any geographical locations or politics or anything along those lines. But let me just see what comes up here. So I do feel that there is going to be some scientific breakthrough or some scientific news, or we're going to hear maybe a report about an unusual, I want to say an unusual embryo or an unusual way of conception or an unusual birth. And this makes me think about, when the scientists take DNA from dinosaurs, and they mix it with I don't know, a sheep or something along those lines. So I do feel that we're going to hear about some sort of story around a scientific breakthrough with regards to, and it does look definitely like a pregnancy. This rope makes me think of the umbilical cord. So whether it is a breakthrough in, I don't know what epigenetics is, but I'm just getting the word epigenetics. So there might be that component to it, but I do feel that it's an unusual, and this has been in the pipeline for a very long time. They've been working on it for a very long time, but definitely some sort of a breakthrough in terms of conception. Maybe it's a new way of helping fetuses while still in utero, being operated on in utero to fix things like, I'm just getting any sort of deformities or anything along those lines. And then on the more scientific side, like I say, I'm just getting in the fact that they, we might hear that there's been the oldest DNA found has now been used and spliced and done. I don't know what it is that they do to the first live birth or the first, I don't know, the first something. So that's quite interesting. Let's see what else. Okay, so the next thing that comes up for me here is about food shortages. I mean, there are places that are, and this looks more sort of European, and I want to say sort of more towards Asia. So if you're looking at Europe, it looks more like on the right of Europe, going towards Asia. Food shortages that will be rectified and rebalanced, and I do feel that there are new crops from scorched earth. No idea what that means, but new crops from scorched earth. So maybe that is possibly that, in the war zone, that things will calm down there and the farmers will be able to farm again and take back some of the land and start being able to feed well, that would make sense for Ukraine, start to be able to provide for their country people again. I'm also finding that other places that are a little bit more dry, that where there's a current conflict over the water usage. On the one side, there's a lot of, they're using too much water and it's really green and a lot of, it's basically an oasis. And on the other side, it's basically parched desert because they're not being able to get to the water. And I feel like there's conflict around that, but I do feel like sort of diplomatic solutions are in the pipeline for that. So they will be able to find ways to water their crops. Okay, they are going to, because at the moment they can't. So I do find that there is a solution that is available for that, that's going to come through. Moving towards water, I do feel that there might be sort of a minor conflict or saber rattling regarding warships. Not sure what that's about. It might come up in the news, somebody, floated their warship in somebody else's backyard to show their dominance or something along those lines. I'm not sure. But we can expect news around that. Okay, there's going to be loads of social unrest and political divides and subterfuge and uprisings and protests and all that kind of stuff. I feel that that's sort of the whole of Europe. In fact, I feel like that's globally. Europe, America, South Africa. It's that's just, and even Asia. So I know that there's been news on some of that already, but I do feel that it is going to escalate. Those in charge are going to try and quickly quell them and quickly cover them up, but it's actually bigger than what they realize that it is. The discontent is bigger, because I think the information I'm getting here is that people are just literally sick and tired of being told what to do, because listening to the things that they've been told what to do hasn't helped them. It's made them sick, and it's made them tired, and it's made them poor, and it's made them be in a position that's not working for them anymore. I am finding that there's a housing. I'm just seeing tall, empty buildings, and I do feel that the government is going to try and rectify the situation, like some sort of a housing crisis. I don't know if it's in maybe in China or somewhere in Asia, where there are high buildings or empty buildings, or some sort of construction or building crisis. But I do feel that they're going to try and help to sort out the situation. It doesn't help as much as they hoped that it would, but I do feel that it at least goes a small way to help in the situation. I'm also getting a little bit of an archaeological breakthrough or discovery. So, people that, on archaeological digs, there's going to be it might already have happened that we only hear about it later, but I feel like there is a celebration regarding an archaeological find or a breakthrough or discovery, Just going back to the water, a story of unclean water. And I do find that there are ways, or people are trying to find ways to provide clean water, but the wheels of providing that solution are moving a little bit too slowly. And it feels like locals are actually taking the situation into their own hands to try and rectify the situation. I do think the government tries to stop them from expressing their dissatisfaction. But eventually I do feel that they're going to create agreements to work together. Now, I am seeing that this does come up for some place that's maybe been flooded. So there is a flood, just because there's lots of water doesn't mean that it's clean water or usable water. So I do feel that there's a flooding, maybe initially it was a flooding incident, I'm not sure, but there's also, it's polluted. I'm seeing somewhere else that it's like polluted by what was previously sort of government. This looks more American, sort of government subsidized or supported industry that went and polluted the water, and now they need to fix that because people are just going, no, this is not working for us anymore. So this snake here that the person is holding just talks to me about harnessing and directing power. All right. So there might be a woman that may need to, or has already, investigate ways of harnessing and directing power. And power, the snake just talks to me about like electricity, or like the electricity grid. So maybe investigating some good ideas that the public has. Yeah. I also feel that behind the scenes, there's stories are going to come out about spying and monitoring and tracking, and I think they spoke about that a little bit earlier about I can't remember, subterfuge and stuff like that. So social unrest that brings, as a result, people are not going to be happy when they find out that, this goes back to that card, that things aren't the way that they thought that they were. They thought they could trust the leader, or they thought that they could trust those in power. And now it turns out, actually, no, we can't. Because you've been doing all these things wrong, and now that your secrets are out in the world for the world to see, we're not very happy with it, because what you said and what you did and what you told us you said and did are three different things. Yeah. First 3 months of this year, I do feel there's some good ideas that are coming up, but I would really just hold back on making any major decisions, unless you've really checked them out properly, because this is just talking to me about things again going on in the background. But I do feel that it's quite good. It ends up quite well. It's challenging. It's very challenging, but I do feel that there's a little bit of olive branches. There's a little bit of, it's not dark. It's illuminated. There are definitely better things that are coming, but it's almost like we're at a little bit of a crossroads. I know that's a rune sign, but the energy speaks to me about us being at a crossroads and making decisions that are more aligned with our higher good now than what they were before. Yes. There's legal stuff. This guy just reminds me of legal woes for somebody with that looks a little bit like him in the picture. There's going to be quite a high profile. We tired of people in power thinking they can get away with things. So now we're going to hold them accountable. Okay, so even though here he's holding what looks like a wand or a sword, again, your swords speak about your words and your actions, your communications, your thoughts, asserting power. So his sword is blunt. He's not going to be able to assert the power that he previously would have. Okay, so that's the first three months of 2023. Let's see what the rest holds in store for us. Everything is in the process of change. It's almost like the old can't be held on to anymore. But things are still in the process, but it's definitely going to be, in 2023, the will of the people that is going to start becoming more apparent. Now, they did speak about that a little bit earlier. I do feel, again, getting back to this guy, I do feel that he represents a leader that maybe tries to run and hide, but I do feel that he will be, and this sounds so dramatic, but nevertheless, like captured or restrained by those that he trusts. But I do feel that there's going to be loads of mixed messages. I mean, this just makes me think about loads of mixed messages and conflicting messages over the moon cycles. So I'm going to say, watch what they do and not what they say, because definitely meddling, their meddling becomes apparent. But I do feel that things are starting to settle a little bit financially. It's like there's new agreements and new contracts, I'm just seeing handshaking, new agreements on sort of oil and gas, and this was energy, so oil and gas and energy and even food, so those industries that trade. And I do feel that, I mean, there's an eagle here, which we know which country is represented by the eagle. And I feel like, yes, they're going through a little bit of a bumpy start, but that's only because the eagle's currently, it's been on the, it's being seated, it's been sitting. The eagle gets its power, and it gets its ability to focus and be an eagle when it's up in the air. So it's busy rising at the moment. It's rising. There's the sun over there. The eagle is busy rising. It's definitely heading in a better direction, a higher direction, a direction where its wings haven't been clipped and it hasn't been tied down to a rock. Let's put it that way. And please, I know next to nothing about American politics, so no offense to anybody here. But all I'm seeing here is this eagle is getting higher. It's getting towards the sun. And your sun is obviously, all good things being illuminated, things coming to light. It's the midday scenario. You can't hide. There's no shadows. So there's truth, and there's action, and there's focus, and there's leadership, and there's all the things that up until this point have been a little bit all over the place. There's your wide-eyed old owl. It's a barn owl. So that just talks to me about things that have been seen that were previously in the dark, and that's now led to this eagle having the ability to become unrestrained and move up to more positive encounters. April, May, and June has in store for us. Goodness, stress. But look how he's juggling all these things. That doesn't look so great. So we'll see what comes up with that one. Courage. So courage is the justice card in the normal deck. This is usually the Seven of Pentacles. And we have the Creator, which is the King of Pentacles. So this is all about money, career, finances, work, material possessions, that kind of thing. Right, let's see what these cards talk to us about. Well, first things first, it looks like this one-man band, so-called one-man band, is going to come tumbling down with a crash if he doesn't look out. But I do feel that he's not going to go down by himself. he thinks that he has had some clever tricks up his sleeve, but he doesn't realize that they actually have the potential to burn him. It looks like if he sort of makes use of the tricks that are up his sleeve, he doesn't realize that he's just going to actually make things a whole lot worse for him. Because if you can see here, he's one hand holding the monkey, he's got 3 other hands there that are trying to juggle those candlesticks, and here he's trumpeting for all he's worth. So I would definitely say that these bright candles, these potential burns are about to fall. But I want to say that this isn't the time to be in a state of fear, because it looks to me like the sun is going to come up, so it's going to illuminate the day, which tells me that even though it looks like, and this came up quite strongly in the those first 3 months, things are a little bit chaotic. There's a hang of a lot that's going on. There's a lot that's happening that maybe doesn't make much sense. There's no logical reason for him to be sort of juggling so much. Well, it doesn't look like it from the outside anyway. But I feel like if you are alert in the midst of all this chaos, you will be able to prevent that monkey from bursting your bubble, so to speak. So I do think, again, and this is reiterated in those first 3 months, January, February, and March, things are definitely changing, okay, because that chaos is unsustainable. We're moving from chaos, through to that Buddha figure there of peace, chaos. Then here in the second card, we've got the flower that's sort of sprouted out in the middle of what was previously, seemed to be harsh circumstance, but we'll read more into that now. But this is like so much going on, so many candles up in the air, so much potential up in the air. But this is about saying, well, you can't utilize any of those potentials if you're not in control of them, and he definitely doesn't look like he's in control of anything. Just bring that card closer, see if it can focus a bit more, so you can see. That's the and he's still trying to trumpet. So there's still all of that, letting everybody know that it's the advertising, the self-aggrandizing, self-opinionated nonsense. But about, look at me, look at how much I'm doing, look at how great I am, when in actual fact, his situation is quite precarious. And that monkey looks quite pleased with himself. So he thinks he's in control of the monkey, but actually the monkey is in control of his entire situation. Wow. So that's going to come crashing down. And I think it's going to come crashing down, and he's going to be quite surprised, because he's not paying any attention to what's going. Well, he's aware of it, but he's not really paying too much attention to that, because he can't, because he's got so much else going on here. So that looks interesting. Let's see what else comes up. So, well, if we read these together, then I would definitely say the Justice, the creator of peace, the King of Pentacles. The creator has got the courage to put justice or balance into place where there isn't justice where there's currently just chaos. So that is quite interesting. So this middle card just talks to me about when you are faced with difficult situations, that you always have a choice. You do, what is your responsibility? Do you take a responsibility, and do you take responsibility for your part in the story, or do you, play the victim in a blame game, and that can burn you, that can take your power away, because hey, this guy is definitely powerless. Or do you take the responsibility and, as the flower suggests, that you meet your challenges head on and try and make the best of maybe a less than perfect situation, but by doing that you find ways and means to grow, and ways and means, despite your situation, to actually thrive. All right. So there's that saying that says, bloom where you planted. And this is exactly that story. You might not be able to change the circumstances, but you don't have to, all is not lost. You don't have to allow the circumstances to dominate you. There are cracks in those so-called hard or difficult or challenging circumstances that will lend themselves for those that are looking for opportunity, and that are willing to put themselves out there, maybe work a little bit harder or differently to the way that they did before, you can find there is a way for you to utilize that situation and still thrive. But I do feel that justice definitely will be served, regardless of how difficult it may seem, in order for justice to get there. But yes, I do feel that there is definitely good outcomes. If I read these two cards together, there is definitely good outcomes in legal situations that come up in 2023. And obviously this is I don't have anybody in mind, general reading. This third card, the King of Pentacles, the Creator card, talks to me about, as I said before, the pentacles are your finances and your work and your material positions, your career, your financial health, that kind of thing. And he looks like he's got all of that very much in control. Where here you see the light is all over the place. And here the light is behind, here the light is in control, it's in his hands. So it looks to me like you're moving from a time of chaos, taking your power back, and then because you've got this control, you'll be able to do something with it. So maybe it is a time now for you to use your skills, your education, your life experience, your understanding of it, to express yourself, maybe in directions that you now want to go, that is less chaotic, than the directions that you come from. Especially, like I say, with regards to your career, finance, your career financial sector. But I would say to you, based on that card, that, and even this card, that I would be very cautious in terms of investments, and that kind of thing. Obviously speak to the experts regarding that, your financial advisors and brokers and bankers and whoever else is an expert in those fields, because I certainly am not. But I want to say now is not the time for you to just be reckless about things. It's a time for you to put the work in, because what you put in now is going to pay dividends in the longer time period. So maybe starting or creating or building something while you're still on the down will mean success later on, when the wheel starts to turn and starts to move, because we always know that that's the way that it works. Sometimes you're the bug, and sometimes you're the windscreen, and sometimes you're the bottom of the wheel, and then the wheel turns, and then you're at the top of the wheel. So we understand the cycles of life because we all go through it. Sometimes it wheel turns really slowly, and sometimes it goes way too quickly, but nevertheless it's always turning. So they're just talking about if you were going to invest, whether it's in yourself, whether it's in your finances, or whether it's in your financial investments in property, etc., putting your roots down, that there are, for those that have done like the work previously, it might be advantageous while everybody else is suffering to if you can afford it, increase your property portfolio. So if people are selling their houses because they can't afford it, if you can, buying up the houses at really good prices, taking advantage of the situation when the wheel turns again, and things stabilize, as they will later, that you've had benefit to that. It's not great for the people that couldn't afford it, but it is great for you if you can afford it. So looking at that in that way might enable you to invest a little bit in efforts and education, but also maintaining the balance while you pursue your passions and your financial best interests. So I do feel that if you're wanting your life to improve, it might be a good thing to start by improving yourself. Allow the real you to express themselves positively. I'm also finding just that inner peace will definitely be given the opportunity to sort of come through, and he does look quite enlightened with that around his head. So strong intuition, being properly centered, like I say, having his control over. That's your, the yellow makes me think about your sacral chakra, which is the one at your solar plexus, which is yellow. And the solar plexus chakra is all about balance and being in control and being the right person, being fully present in your body. Let's see. We have the Knight of Ariel, trustworthy, understanding, devoted, and funny. And this tells us there's so much to accomplish. Make a very detailed plan, being watched over by someone kind. Lovely illustration. Another pentacle card. The Ariel cards are pentacle cards. So we have the Four of Ariel, and it says, when you give, you also receive. Being resilient to change, extremes in how you save or spend money. Oh, the Star. Major Arcana card. The Star. A dream come true. Believe in yourself. The end of a difficult situation. So when I have a look at these cards, the guides are saying this is all about renewed action, reassessments that are happening, planning happening, ensuring that your plans are detailed and methodical and, not nonsensical. Chaos isn't going to serve you. Methodical, detailed, logical practical plans are definitely going to save you or be the answer. All right. They are talking about putting away money or saving money or not spending money on things that are maybe unnecessary at this stage. So it's not a splurge time, it is a save time. The farmers, they say during times of great harvests, you save your seeds so that in times of famine, you've got the seeds that you can then plant that will give you the great harvest the next time if you water those seeds. So saving money if you do have, but definitely things are beginning to ease after some really hard work that you've had to put in and some really tough times and chaotic times. So this is all about, again, as they use the farmer analogy, about things starting to grow. There's also a lot of oversight that's happening, and I want to say slow and steady wins the race. Rushing around is going to cause you to fall off your horse. So that's not going to work for you. So definitely in your business, career, finances, that is definitely your current focus. I mean, you've had Pentacles quite a few times here, so definitely putting your even going back to those first three months of the year, focus on what you can do that's going to bring you gains a little bit later. You might not see the gains right now, but definitely that if you keep putting the work in, you're going to get your outcome. So I want to say, like, relief is on the horizon. This card talks to me about shared resources, so don't allow any fear-based information to limit your thoughts and your actions. This card talks to me very much about your ability to create balance through your giving and your receiving. So I just see that little bridge there. The bridge goes both ways. So giving and receiving, because givers need receivers in order to be givers. Again, I'm just feeling like there is news coming up about homes and home loans and interest rates, that kind of thing. I do feel I'm getting sort of ups and downs. So if I go, okay, well, is everybody's going to benefit? Because I do feel that there is some good news for some people that's coming, but for other people, I feel, because obviously this is global, there are, some people are going to benefit because there's stops going out. Sorry, let me speak English. There's don't go as high as what they were. The increase stops, but for others, the decrease stops, which is also not so great. But I feel like the balance is what's important here. So yes, some of you are going to be paying a little bit more in terms of interest rates, and the criteria might get a little bit more difficult. But I feel that for those of you that are in control of things, that it actually makes things better or easier for you, that you can take advantage of those situations. I do feel that the star is talking about the challenges reducing, and the confidence and enthusiasm and the gains increasing. So there is light at the end of that tunnel. I also feel, just looking at it, that there's going to be some news about some, I don't know, some satellites or some communication networks, possibly some feedback from that department. I don't know what department that would be, but whether it's NASA or whoever the case is, feedback about maybe a new star or a new planet that's been found, or discovered, or maybe even new images, from satellites. So I know there's that new satellite that was sent up to replace, I think it's the old Hubble or whatever, the old photographing. Sorry, I'm not very good at this at all. But the old station that used to take pictures, and now they've got a new one that's gone up that can take better pictures, and maybe that's going to give us better pictures about parts of the universe that we haven't had pictures of, or clearer pictures on the parts that we have had pictures of. So something along those lines is probably going to come up in the news again. And this water, just again, there's definitely, I feel like water is going to be a massive problem. There's either no water or there's too much water. So but it feels to me like the water is coming from sort of every direction. So those that get water is probably going to get too much water. So definite floodings. I do see possibly a dam wall breaking, or a flood happening as a result of an overflow or something along those lines. But I do feel that that comes up. Like I say, this drinking water is being poured out of the jugs, which tells me the flooding is happening, but that's going to give a problem for the drinking water. Yeah, so there is this looks to me like fire. So we've got floods, and these boulders are sort of moving in my eyes. It's so maybe, what makes the earth move? Earthquakes. So the earth is sort of moving, it's moving, and that looks to me like fires. I also feel like there's quite possibly gossip or rumor around an affair of a high profile person. So a little bit of a scandal that's going to happen there. I don't know what her relationship with money is, but it's like she wants the money, or she's going to do it for money, or she's going to sue for money, or she somehow maybe she's wealthy, or maybe he's the wealthy one. He looks quite wealthy, but I feel like that is something there. So these fires, I'm feeling probably fires at or near Spain. Also fires along the coast of, is it North America, sort of central North America. Now, another weird thing is this water looks to me, and I don't know why I see it, but I almost feel like olive oil, maybe the olive oil industry. There's maybe a bit of a scandal about the olive oil industry, or that olive oil prices are going to increase, or there's an impact in the production as a result of, floods or droughts, or, fires, or whatever the case is. I feel like there's something around the olive oil production or olive oil industry. I'm not sure where that comes from. This reminds me of something that came up a little bit earlier, I think in the first 3 months of farming. They said something about farming where there was previously scorched earth. So I feel like there's definitely a drive or encouragement towards farming, or like recovering farmland, or educating people to sort of grow their own, or the impacts of farmland on on wild, the trees behind there make me think about like forests and stuff. So it looks to me like there's an issue or a focus a little bit on farmland. I don't feel like it's bad because the farmland is producing the food, but maybe the food production is a little bit less than what they'd hoped for or that was necessary, because it's been impacted by all of this chaos. But I'm also seeing there are coins being grown here on this, on these plants under that he's standing above. So it might be that the rising costs in terms of food or something along those lines. So as I said before, I'm not great at things, geographically and all of that. But when I look at this scenery, what comes to mind is China. And I do feel that they're in a massive problem at the moment. But I feel like the people themselves are getting stronger. And I feel like the ones that are in power are getting weaker. And I do feel that the leaders sort of in the house is going to come crashing down, because I feel like the people themselves they're tired of, as was mentioned earlier, being sick and tired. And I feel like there is maybe some sabotage that's happening within the party or to the government, or that the people are actually taking their power back and weakening the control that those in higher places have over them. But I do feel there's still quite a lot. I know that there has been some, but there's going to still be quite a lot of unrest and protests and all sorts of things. I feel like the secrets, the things that have been happening behind the doors are going to come out. This man sort of, in my eyes, he becomes quite animated, where he sort of, somebody goes and chops those legs that are holding the house out. The house crashes down. They rush in, grab some documents and stuff and gives it to him. And he sort of hold them in one hand and like showing them to me. So there's some secrets or some stuff that people always knew was going on, but it's like it's out in the open now. So he's holding those up and sort of waving them in the air for me. And this looks to me like it's sort of, I'm getting sort of autumn. Like there's a big story or a big change. There's stuff happening in autumn, but there's still steps that needs to be followed. So it's not 100% ready yet, but there's definitely there's steps that are being followed. That's going to give them the ability to sort of cross that bridge into something that's more peaceful and more beneficial for everybody. So first we have the winged wise ones: angelic help, miraculous aid. Desert prince, survival, false promises. The dragon's duel, inner conflict, morality, conscious choice. When I picked this card up, the word Sudan came to mind. So I'm not sure what's happening in Sudan, but I feel like there's going to be a little bit of I feel like Sudan's going to land up in the news for some or other reason. And it feels to me like, again, a little bit of protesting, but I also feel like Sudan manages to, I don't know, harness energy or find energy. I'm not sure. So let's start with the first card, because that I do know. So the winged wise ones. There's a lovely piece stuff. So this talks about answered prayers, divine intervention, possible miracles. So I would say to you, for you to maybe pay attention to your intuition. The angels do send whispered answers on the wind. So there's an unraveling of the past and revealing of the present in order for you to plan the future. All right, so that was spoken about very much in the previous cards. So I would say to you that don't put people on a pedestal, because you've got the same connection to higher guidance and intuition as what they probably, maybe even better than what they do have. But this is about trusting yourself and being in your power. And the peace dove, talks to me about your ability to move and travel and change things. And in one of the biblical stories, it was the dove that came back with the first growth from a tree, which indicated that the worst times were over. So that just talks to me again. It reiterates what the first three cards were saying. Even though there might be a whole bunch of chaos, find a way to get through it. And once you've got your power, things will improve. And that basically, this is what this whole story again reiterates. Definitely movement, definitely change. I'm just picking up here again. I just pick up problems with an aircraft. So I don't feel some, might be, let's just look. I feel like delays in travel or travel delays, but I'm also picking up there's a little bit of a near miss with an aeroplane, where maybe a fault happens in the air, and through the skills and experience of the pilot that they're able to, land the plane safely, or that they find what, an airplane that they're looking for, and find where the pilot managed to land the plane. So I'm not sure, but there's something along the lines of an actual aeroplane, a passenger aeroplane, that makes headlines to go, wow, look at this. After all this delay, this has now been the result. The Desert Prince talks to me about all is not necessarily as it first appears. Again, it talks about secrets being revealed, and that many that maybe were fooled previously are now being enlightened and freed. And it does come with a feeling of relief. So I do feel a little bit more globally. I do feel that there's possible diplomatic ties between, or sort of new diplomatic ties, or new agreements, or new or deeper friendships developing. And here I would say I'm seeing the lion on the I'm seeing the lion on a flag. So I think that would be the UK, and the pyramid is talking to me about money. So the US. So I would say definitely between the UK and the US that there's going to be deeper friendship, deeper ties between the two of them. Transactional agreements, and I do feel that brings new beginnings, maybe for better outcomes that benefit both parties. Possibly news regarding, I don't know, fruits and grains, or possibly even a new undersea tunnel or pipeline that also comes up, that we might hear, not necessarily between those two countries, but between other countries. that there's a new pipeline or a new tunnel that's been developed between the countries. And I do think that this is energy based because I'm just getting the fact of like using the imagery that popped into my head was, and again, I know less than nothing about this, but it's almost using waves, like the energy that's made from the waves rising and falling, breaking, utilizing that energy and somehow harnessing that energy on a little bit on a bigger scale for more people's benefit. Okay. Now this dragon duel, this is very much like the judgment and this chap that's trumpeting and juggling. So it's definitely about the tension of opposites, and a new change of direction that will happen as a result as more information comes to mind. So I would definitely say the information that comes there would be to feed the dragon that you want more of, feed the dragon that you want to win, essentially. Whatever you put your focus on, it will get more energy, which will provide, that's the direction that you want to, so the direction that you wanted to go in. So if you are uh, enjoying the chaos and enjoying the being out of control and enjoying the not knowing what's going to happen next, and if you find living in a precarious position where you don't have the power, then that's great. Carry on doing that. Feed that dragon. But if you are now at the end of your tether and you want some predictability and stability, and you want the tough times now to start providing a little bit more in terms of thriving rather than just surviving, and if you want to take your power back, then feed that dragon. So wherever it is that you put your focus, or wherever it is that you put your fears, that's what you're going to feed that dragon. And I do feel that this is quite quick change. So the more people that go, this is it, I've had enough of this, things need to change from now, and start almost being not so aligned with what maybe was previously, and I do think more people are changing that. So the example I'm getting here is, so if you used to choose a color, if you back that color because that was your color, all right, whether that color was a political party or a political affiliation, or a religious sect, or whatever it happens to be, I feel that is all now being illuminated by this beautiful full moon here. And there's obviously quite a lot of emotion that's involved there, but don't get stuck. And they did say this a little bit earlier, don't. So the Dragon's Duel also tells us or reminds us that we don't necessarily have to choose sides. It also warns you not to get caught in the middle of two opposing factions or contradictions or sets of opinion. I do also see something that is a little bit disturbing in this picture, but the imagery that flashes into my mind is, and the way that I see it is that the picture becomes like a movie in my head. And what I see here is either a missile or a bomb or something. It looks like it's exploding in the ocean, but this looks, I get a ship. Now I know you can't see a ship on in the actual photograph, in the picture, but I'm seeing here that there is a ship, and there is this missile that lands either on or near the ship that's going to cause a little bit of a problem. So I feel like the intention is the sinking of the ship, or I don't know if the ship has an accident where it's, something explodes and the ship actually sinks. But I do feel that there is a problem that involves a ship at sea where something explodes, and there are casualties, and it looks to me like it's a little bit of a catastrophe that needs to be handled diplomatically, in order for further escalations to be avoided. So that I do feel is lining up. And in terms of time, I would say either at an eclipse, so where the sun and the moon are lined up directly opposite each other, or else around the full moon, or in a moon at a time, or in a month where there are 2 full moons in a month. So that's just what comes up. I just want to remind the viewers that none of this is obviously based on fact. It's my interpretation of the cards and the imagery that I get given when I look at the cards, the movies that play out in my head, and only time will tell to see if it does develop that way. Let's hope it doesn't, because as with everything, there's always the high road and there's the low road to everything. So depending on decisions that people make between now and then, can alter or change the outcome. But whatever happens, I do feel this month of March is quite important in terms of big things happening, big changes happening, big news happening, sort of quite an antagonistic energy about it. But I feel that once the squabble has happened, that things will start to settle down after that again. This brings us back to that first card there, the stress and everything being juggled, and things just not working out so well. So it looks like all 3 rows of these cards are telling us more or less the same thing. There's chaos, then it settles, and then we get the outcome, which is going to be a lot more positive than when we went into it. So this is the Angel Answers card for April, May, and June, is success. So as the guides have just indicated, I start off a little bit bumpy, things settle down, and ultimately it's going to be a successful 3 months. So whoever started with whatever it is they set out to intend with the Judgment card, it does reach fruition. We spoke about the angels. Where was it here with the angels bringing messages of peace and help and miraculous aid and all that kind of stuff. So I do feel that the angels here once again are just reminding us that regardless of how things look, there is definitely going to be growth and a positive change coming. So that is a very positive card. Then we have the aspects of self that I have drawn out to look at the more global picture. Yeah, we have the Hermit. Now, just by the by, the Hermit card is all about introspection and thinking about going on a new journey or heading in a different direction, and really just about reconciling what's been before and what the expectation is going ahead. So knowing all of that, I just want to have a look to see what this card can tell us about some more general global information that we might find interesting for 2023. So just give me a sec while I just focus on the energy and get into it. So here, it looks to me that Possibly in the UK, there's going to be a little bit of upheaval or gossip, finger pointing. I feel like there's a little bit of trouble in politics, which pretty much describes any normal day in politics anywhere in the world, I would say. But I do feel there is a little bit of a dissatisfaction with government, more than usual. And possibly maybe even a calling for earlier voting or looking at certain bills regarding immigration or immigrants, something along those lines. I do find that there are new solutions for current problems that are proposed. But I do also feel that some new ideas or new doors are going to be opening along those lines. So, yes, I know next to nothing about politics, so excuse my ignorance. So this figure draws me through to Russia, and I'm not sure why, but I feel like Rasputin comes up. So possibly a religious leader or somebody that's close to a leader up, in Russia. Now, as we know from the Rasputin story, I mean, he had a lot of influence in the previous regime, being the religious leader and the confidant and all those sorts of things. And I feel like this story is almost playing out again. So I do feel that there is a religious leader that's maybe at this stage feeling a little bit desperate over a life and death situation. I do feel that this brings up images of a revolution, possibly a revolution that's busy brewing. I do feel that there might be some sly or secret discussions or meetings that is busy happening, that's possibly causing that person to hear snippets of information, or to get maybe they don't hear it with their ears, but maybe they hear it with their intuition, to say there's something happening, the tide has changed. So I do feel that the general population is going to be rising up, becoming more confident in letting their displeasure be known. But I do feel that the leader, he needs to watch his back, because there's definitely plotting and planning and all sorts of things that's going on behind the scenes, behind his back. Yes. This bird takes me down to Australia, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of squawking about very little then. But there, it looks like there's going to be, when I say squawking about little, I feel like, in no disrespect, obviously, but I feel like people are going to be being very vocal about things that they are dissatisfied with, and that is very good, because what it's going to do is put pressure on the right channels, which is going to create an upturn in your finances. So I do feel that that's a very positive thing. I also feel that the birds that are in the sky, keeping an eye on things, look a little bit threatening. But I think that that's maybe where the public displeasure comes from. They might hear that, they weren't, they thought that they were having, I don't know, private discussions or meetings or whatever the case is, and only to find out that, so-called Big Brother has been listening in or something along those lines. I don't know. So, but I do feel that there'll be that all works out to the benefit of the general population. I do feel that in South Africa, I do feel that there is a little bit of a dark time, not load shedding withstanding, where our power is literally out and leaving us in the dark. But I do feel that in terms of in the leadership positions in government, there are a lot of problems. There aren't very many workable solutions that are being implemented. I find a lot of stonewalling that's happening because they almost don't want people to be educated, because the solutions come through the education, and the free thinking comes from the education. And when the solutions come, then it affects people's incomes, etc. So I suppose that's just normal politics. But I do feel that there are people that are sort of coming through the ranks. I see these as steps, and I do feel that there is somebody there that's in the shadows, that they're making their way through the ranks. The elders, the so-called elders, will eventually step aside, but it's not going to be without drama and mayhem and discord first, faction fighting, all that normal stuff that goes on a daily basis here. But I feel like everything is literally holding together with a hope and a prayer at this stage. I'm also just picking up some, and I almost want to say I think that this is an annual event, because it certainly feels that way, but I feel like there's more floods, lives lost, properties damaged, businesses affected, but I'm just seeing a lot of water, so a lot of landslides and flooding up, and that looks like in the KZN, KwaZulu-Natal area, among other places. And I do feel that, again, I don't know anything about American politics, but I do feel that there is a gavel hitting down, which creates changes in the House. I don't know what that means, because our government system is different in South Africa, but there are changes in the House which creates a situation where things calm down after some mischief and chaos and some loud accusations. People aren't going to go quietly, but the changes are good. There's sort of sweeping change, and it's good change, and the cat's wanting to be acknowledged, but there's sweeping changes, there's good changes, but people are not going to go quietly. They're going to sort of open their mouths and squawk at the top of their lungs at their displeasure, and they're going to say that they have been set up, and they're going to say that it's, false accusations, and it's actually not. It's actually based on fact, with provable beyond a reasonable doubt stuff. So I feel like the legs of the table start becoming a lot stronger again. So yes, I suppose another day in politics, wherever you are in the world. Thank goodness that's not my speciality or my my personal career choice. So let's see what the next 3 months hold in store for us. So far, it looks like we're heading in the right direction. So now we're on to July, August, and September, and there are 4 cards that came out. So let's see what comes up first. Exhaustion. Aloneness. We have understanding, and we have healing. Oh, that's a nice card to end the row with. This first card really just tells me that what can be best described as the portrait of somebody whose whole life energy has been depleted in his efforts to keep fueling the enormous and ridiculous machine of self-importance and productivity. And in his efforts to almost keep it all together, and to get everything running smoothly, he's actually completely depleted himself and everything is left in ruin. So if you find yourself overworked or maybe in a way almost addicted to stress and drama and busyness, in the same way as one doesn't think of being a workaholic as an addiction, it can be described that way. But now might be a good time for you actually to rest a little bit, to restore and to rebalance yourself before you actually burn out and get to a situation that this guy finds himself in. If you take some time out to rest and to restore the balance and to reduce the stress and drama and reduce your busyness, all that kind of stuff, it will really positively influence your entire life. And you'll actually find that you'll be more productive than you were before you rested, because sometimes when we're trying to juggle, human beings aren't meant to juggle that many things. We're not particularly good multitaskers, even though we tend to multitask a lot, and multitasking can be exhausting. And they're just saying that it might be good if you multitasked with less things, juggled with less things, because if you can put all of your attention on one thing and do it well, and then be a little bit more consequential, then set up the next thing and do that one really well, you're probably going to find you'll have more energy to get things done, and you'll do it better and more effectively and more productively, in a way that would benefit you without harming your health, your mental health, your physical health, your emotional and financial health. So that is definitely something that comes up here. But I do feel like the man in the rocket is definitely going to come crashing down if he's not careful, and it will be all his own doing. So he needs to just be aware of that. He needs to be cautious of that, and he needs to take some proactive action steps to prevent that, because he knows exactly it's just bad habits that he's implementing. So he needs to almost take his power back, because he's given so much of his power away to his ego and to his businesses and to everything else that he's keeping up in the air, that he's not looking after himself. And he doesn't realize if he doesn't look after himself, he's not going to be none of those other things are going to work, because he's the center tent pole. He's the hub of the wheel. So if the hub of the wheel disintegrates, the whole wheel falls apart. So that is something that if you are not feeling in the second half of the year, if you're feeling a little bit depleted, or that you've exhausted your resources, maybe you've got you're a little bit behind in your paperwork, or that the things that you were expecting haven't come through. I just feel like this is about saying, okay, just take a break, just breathe a little bit, because if you don't, you're going to wear yourself out, and then your health is going to suffer. So this brings us to our second card of aloneness, and I feel that after all of that chaos, the aloneness is exactly maybe what some of you are needing, because he's got his wand here that has got a little bit of growth on the top, but the growth comes from deciding to take some time out from that chaos, to be on his own, to have a little bit of introspection. and you get to decide, is being on your own lonely, or does it provide you with space to breathe? Perhaps you need some inner nurturing, and perhaps it will go a long way. So it might be a good time to take some time out from the so-called maddening crowd and find your true north. And, we know that sometimes contemplation brings new ideas and new plans and new ways of doing it and solutions where there clearly weren't solutions before. So I also feel maybe a possible trip or a movement from old to new, or from old to better, or from current to better. But growth definitely becomes possible where it previously wasn't, or where it previously didn't look like it was possible. But I do find that you maybe need to ask yourself some really deep questions, like, are you going to, allow yourself to, fall off the cliff edge, or are you going to stand at the top and just stop and just breathe and to just assess things, and make different plans on how to get to the other side to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Maybe you do need to just take some time out to gaze down into the valley, to see, look back and just see, where did I come from, and where do I want to go, instead of, as this one tells you, being caged, because this really talks to me about feeling like you're a little bit trapped in your old ways, or in your own mind, or by your own thoughts. So possibly opening your mind to new possibilities, not allowing the negative news, tweets. Those birds make me think about tweets, or the negative news, or social media. Not allowing that to overshadow your positive actions and the growth that you're actually going to be seeing. So I do feel that there is, these cards again reiterate the movement from chaotic energy through to more calming, more positive change. So good news is coming. Freedoms are gained. Restrictions are lifted. Grids are being restored. This just makes me think of the grid, like energy grids. So maybe where there was a break in heating or supply, or connectivity or energy, something along those lines. But I feel like those grids are going to be restored. There's communication grids possibly. There's going to be lots of help. So I'm not 100% sure if that's communication grids or actual energy grids, or what exactly it is, but I'm just getting the words, the grids are being restored, which is a positive thing. And again, it might be communication, because the birds tweet. So this bird's been caged up. Those ones are free. So it's the communication. We're going to hear stuff that maybe we couldn't communicate before. I also feel that this healing card, again, it feels like a very positive card to us, because we all need healing of our thought processes. And I think everybody's got information overload at this stage. So clearing our minds from all of the chaos and the drama and all of that, the decision making, and the duality and the conflicting reports and all that kind of stuff. And also we needing healing, and to feel safe and secure, and being able to stand on our own 2 feet, and being able to make decisions that support ourselves and support our families and support our communities. So that a more heart-centered energy feels like it is busy flowing through there. I'm just getting that compass again that we spoke about in the second card, of saying, listen, no, going and taking some time out, whether it's on a retreat, or whether it's just taking 5 minutes out to close your eyes and take a couple of breaths and do a guided meditation, or just sit in the garden, or sit in a quiet place, just to restore yourself. But I feel like all of that is exactly what's needed to get those channels working again, because I really do feel that there are some very deeply buried wounds of the past, in individuals, in communities, globally, in terms of the earth. So basically our past is coming up to the surface in order to be healed. So you're just being reminded that you don't have to believe everything that you're told. You can actually not decide to just take it from where it comes and neither agree or disagree with it, but just accept it as information and go, okay, well, that's now I know that. And then, go on your way, have your peace of mind. You don't have to hold on to every single little bit of news or information that you receive, because that can drive one a little bit crazy if we're not careful. And if we're not being discerning in terms of what it is that we keep and what it is that we let go of. So those of you that are into the more alternative healing systems, I would say to you, or if you are that way inclined, maybe just ensure that you take the time or take the trouble or do yourself a favor of you maybe just ensuring on a daily basis that your chakras are cleared and aligned, that you're grounded and connected. And all that basically means is make sure that your emotions, your physical self, your physical health, your relationships, your finances, all those sort of things, your communications, make sure that they're all balanced and that you're feeling like yourself so that you can think clearly. So that's all that means. So we have the Seven of Michael. So that just shows us crossroads, eh? There's a high road and there's a low road. How difficult or easy are we going to make this for ourselves? It says there is a better course of action available to you. Working alone may not be the best answer. Review all of the details. Seven of Gabriel. Stand up for what you believe in, have confidence, and claim your personal power. Lots of power in that lightning strike. And the third card is the Three of Michael. Release the past. You will grow from the situation. Time heals all wounds. Isn't that interesting that it's on top of the other healing card? This Seven of Gabriel looks to me that it's relating to that communication, the communication card, with the information coming through the electricity. But let's start with the Seven of Michael, which is also a swords card. And as you would know, swords are all about thoughts and words and actions and communication of ideas. It's about making decisions and also about asserting your power, which I think they spoke about in the first card. So the new ideas and insights of how to deal with old problems, because this guy looks to me like he's very focused on his old problems, or maybe creating problems that didn't exist before then, or maybe quite intent on through his not wanting to deal with the responsibility anymore. He makes some decisions that are not necessarily in his long-term best interest, or that he would like to have to deal with those consequences. So they're just saying, just step back, be careful how or what place you're making your decisions from, because if you're making it from a place of exhaustion or a place of not wanting to take responsibility, or a place of blame, or whatever the case is, it's unlikely that you're going to make a good decision. You're probably going to lead yourself down a pathway of regret. So they're also talking here that you maybe just need to give attention to a detailed plan of action in terms of your solution to get yourself out of whatever it is that you're currently in. And the first way might not be the best way. It might not even be the only way, even if it looks like the easier or more attractive pathway. But they're just saying to you, not all that glitters is gold. There's that quote. I don't know who said that quote, but you can let me know if you know. But they're just saying, be careful that what might look attractive on the outside actually leads you to consequences that you are not would prefer not to have to deal with down the road. So if you're finding that there are just too many bumps in your current path, maybe look for a path that's a little bit more clearly orientated towards your desires or your desired outcome. All right. The high road and the low road are both available to you. They're just saying that, maybe how you treat others is maybe how you would like to be treated. So that is something that maybe some of you need to just keep at the top of your mind, because it looks like there's at least one person that gets a little bit offended when other people, when they're on the receiving end of themselves, So they're asking you as well, with this backpack here, they're just saying for you to release everything and anything that's been burdening you. Take what you need and leave the rest behind. But definitely, you've been given signs, you've been given indications that he's showing you with the open hand, like, whoa, stop. There's a better path. So I also feel if any of you have been a little bit worried about finances and looking for jobs or wondering how you're going to provide for yourself, or you're expecting sort of government to provide for you, whatever the case is, they're just saying look out of the box a little bit, because there are solutions there are ways around this story. It's not all doom and gloom. If you just think a little bit more from the perspective of saying, okay, well, what can I do? How can I regain control of the situation? Or what's the smallest thing that I can implement that makes me feel like I'm back in control, that makes me feel more safe? What can I do to provide for my family? Maybe it's I don't know. The example that comes to mind is getting some packet of seeds for tomato plants, planting the tomato seeds and either selling the seedlings, or eventually getting the tomatoes to sell the tomatoes, and then taking the profits and buying more seeds. So, or having the tomatoes where you can then have more seeds for no extra cost. So they're just saying, find out what are your tomatoes, what are your seeds, what can you plant that can provide more seeds for yourself, more opportunities, more production, more productiveness, more positive, beneficial outcomes. So, because they are there, they do exist. You don't have to go down this road of nothingness, this, where there's no joy, there's no there's nothing green, there's no growth there. The middle card just talks to me about standing up for what you believe in, and sometimes that's with a big capital letter N-O, no, and other times it's with a yes. So they just say that, you need to just ask yourself, what are you learning from your past experiences? Are you making different mistakes this time, or are you repeating your mistakes? And I just see there for the very first time, what looks to me, I know it probably looks to you like it's tree trunks there, but it looks to me very much like there are maybe your friends in flesh, or you got friends in spirit that are really trying to help you to avoid making mistakes. So back to the Seven of Gabriel, and just I've just noticed here that we've got a 7 of Michael, a 7 of Gabriel, and if you add up the year 2023, that's a 7 as well. So it's quite a strong 7 year, kind of strong omen for that. But they also just ask you to become a little bit more self-sufficient. All right. So steer clear of fighting for the sake of fighting or disagreeing for the sake of disagreeing. But being in control of your emotions, being in control of your your energy and your life path, your security, and allowing yourself, when you are focused more on the freedom, you focus more on the solutions, and feeling a lot more like yourself. They're just saying that's going to give you better control over your situation, your vehicle, to get you to where it is that you are wanting to take you to, wherever it is, down this lovely winding road here, that is going to give you the more positive outcome. So this card also, and I have no idea what this means, but I feel like, and this speaks very strongly about the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, but I feel like the flying, the wording that comes up is the flying unicorn with better shielding is what's going to help to win the war. All right, so I have no idea what that's about. I suspect that it's I don't know if it's an aircraft that with the wings there, that maybe the aircraft's called a unicorn, or if it's a more ground-based vehicle, but it's sort of it's lightning fast, okay, so, and it's got good protection, and I just feel like it's probably good radar, good communications. I'm not quite sure. I'm not somebody that knows very much about that war machines either, but that's just the message that comes through here, is the flying unicorn. So it's obviously got another different name, as these things usually do have, but maybe the nickname that is given is the flying unicorn, or the horse, or the, I don't know, the winged horse, or Pegasus, or I don't know. But I do feel that is sort of going to be used or utilized, and it's going to make quite a positive difference to the people that utilize it. So do with that what information or what you need to. I don't know. But just moving on to the more generalized stuff and out of the war zone, I do feel that, there's those chakra cutters again. So it's about balance, about taking your power back. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so this one, again, talks to me about growth from the situation. So no matter how difficult it currently seems, or no matter how much it might feel like you're not getting anywhere, or that it's difficult to overcome, or it's just all these negatives that you're facing, they're just saying that no matter what it looks like, just know that your situation is going to improve. So there definitely is growth, and there definitely are solutions coming. Here's that little peace dove in our picture again, and that dove looks like it's bringing a message, and I just get the idea that it could also be a lost loved one that's coming to give you the message to say, I'm fine, I've crossed over, look for the dove, look for the white feathers. I'm sending you all these little messages to let you know that I'm okay. So if any of you need to take time out to grieve, or to rest, or to recenter yourself, sometimes it's not even a person that we grieve. It could be a situation that we've been through, lost our work, or so many changes, or have to move home, or where the thing that we defined ourselves as or with, that's when that thing goes missing, that it causes grief in us that we then need to process in order for us to move on. So they're definitely just saying, don't camp there, but honor the process, take time out for yourself, ask for help if you need help, if you need to delegate some tasks, if you're able to do that. But they're just saying you need to simplify your daily tasks, while, if you're not feeling super strong at this stage, just do whatever it is that you need to do to be able to feel like you are more in control. So even though it may feel like you're going through some kind of fresh hell again, just remember that the feelings don't work on facts, and that, as that quote says, this too will pass. But definitely there's heartache and emotional situations, or maybe even physical heart issues that need to be dealt with. There's the heart over there again, that need to be dealt with in order for you to move on to a more positive situation going forward. But either way, your foundation is solid. You do have help. Reach out to a therapist or a doctor or a lawyer or an expert in whichever field it is that's causing you distress, because I feel like help is definitely at hand, closer at hand than what you maybe have thought that it has been up until this point. So let's see what other cards come up for us. Here we have the Arrow Master, hitting the mark, intention, detachment. The Spirit Whisperer, divine guidance, higher knowing. And here we have the Phoenix, resurrection, surrender to change. Just want to pick this card up again. This really, look how focused and determined this chap is. And they want to bring it to your conscious mind to say, whatever you focus your intention and your energy on is what you will arrive at sooner or soonest. So the more focused you are, and the more intent you are, and the more determined you are, the quicker it can happen for you. So the same way as if you are driving a vehicle and you are focused on something else on the side of the road, if you are not careful, you will eventually steer in the direction that you're looking. So they are just saying, make sure that you are focusing on where it is that you are wanting to steer your vehicle. So remembering that as this is indicating about shooting an arrow, remembering that an arrow can only be shot forward by first pulling it backwards with the string of the bow. So they're just saying to you that if you feel as though you're going through tough times, or that things are going a little bit backwards at this stage, or the energy's going backwards, or your situation's going backwards, or finances are going backwards, whatever it is that's playing out in your personal life, they're saying that brace yourself, because with focus and determination and being determined to move forward, when things get started getting better, they're going to do so with speed. When that arrow is released, it's going to shoot towards your focal point. So if you've lost focus or got distracted, whatever, your arrow is going to land off mark. So they want you to really pay attention to which direction you are focused in, so that your arrow lands in the direction that you're wanting it to go, not in the bundle of chaos that it landed in last time. All right. So I don't know why, but I feel like they're just telling me it's like you've got 3 arrows. You've already done your first arrow, and your first arrow didn't land where it is that you wanted it to land. So now they're saying you're getting a second shot at it. If you focus, then it can land in a better position. That will make you happier. But they're just talking about the magic that comes up from being focused. Okay. So the middle card, the Spirit Whisperer, talks to me very much about whispered guidance from the universe. Brings you good news and miraculous outcomes. And I mean, that goes hand in hand with the first card as well. So trust your instincts and your intuition to guide you. And I think it was Martin Luther King that reminded us that, faith is taking the first step, even when you can't see the whole staircase. So they're just saying all you need here is the first step. All you need to do is just make the first move. All you need to do is get focused and determined and start planning it out in your head, following your intuition. And as it spoke up there, getting your mind clear and your safety security sorted out, or feeling safe within yourself, and that will then allow you to follow those intuitive nudges, with this little bubble of protection around you from your highest self and your spirit helpers, that will help you to step out of your comfort zone. But step out of your comfort or discomfort zone, as it might be, given that storm that's above this card, but stepping out of your discomfort zone one step at a time. But as you step up that staircase, there isn't a shortcut. There isn't an elevator up the stairs. You have to take it one step at a time. And this owl that's here in the picture talks to me about wisdom. Talks to me about finding the light in the darkness. Learning from your mistakes. That things aren't the way that they look. We all know that when we look at something in the dark, it might look scary, and we turn on the light and we go, oh, it was just the shadow from the chair. So they're just saying, be careful that it's not the shadows that are causing fear, but that you are dealing with what is, not on what your fear-based mind might be, the nonsense that it might be creating for you. So this is the I told you so card, and this is all about taking the mistakes, or taking the experience that you have lived through, and stepping up from it, reinventing yourself, celebrating your journey. It's the ultimate success. And again, they just say I must talk about the I told you so. So this is, I told you if you focus, I told you if you're determined, I told you if you put your feet in front of each other and just keep going and listen to your intuition, that you're going to get there. So this is really also talking to me about where one thing ends, another one begins, and it does look very much to me for July, August, and September that things are honestly starting to look a whole lot more stable and a whole lot more positive. So I would say that is very good news, very, very good news. Yes, very good news. And then we have the Angel Answers card. Let's see what the Angel Answers card is. It's up to you. Well, if that doesn't say it loud and clear, then nothing else will. So it really is up to you. You have the power to change your attitude. You have the power to change your situation. You have the power to change your direction. You have the power over whether you're focused and determined to make things different or better or worse. You have the power to and take advantage of situations, or listen to your internal guidance, or just completely disregard it to your detriment, possibly. You have the power to live in the chaos and be overworked and, all those other things, or you have the opportunity to take yourself out of wherever it is that you find yourself and just give yourself some thinking time. But whatever it is that you decide, it is really up to you. It's up to you to change your attitude. It's up to you to change your situation and your outlook. The power is definitely yours. You get to decide how you want it to end up. Nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to save you. Nobody's going to rescue you. You need to rescue yourself. And we know that by you taking your power back, that you 100,000% do have not only the ability, but you also have the opportunity that's going to present itself in order for you to do that. So don't underestimate yourself. You can see as I pull her a little bit closer, she's pointing at you. Yes, you can do it. We can do it. There we go. And then our last card is from the aspects of self, and this is the card that I have pulled out for a more global view. So let's have a look to see what that tells us about. And this very beautiful card talks to me very much about, the first thing I see here is this dragon that's being restrained. And it wants to be let loose, and it exerts its power, but thankfully more powerful and more passive forces are acting as restraints for it. I think that the problem that comes with sort of burning the house down is that often you get burnt in the process, and this is really no different. So they're trying to, they being those who have got the ability to restrain the dragon, are trying to prevent the dragon from destroying itself in its determination to destroy others as well. I don't know who the dragon is. I have no idea, but that's the information that's dropping into my head. So the swan gives me the story of a high-profile wedding or news of an imminent divorce, possibly, of those that said that it was going to last a lifetime, because we all know that swans form lifetime partnerships. They mate with their partner, and that's it for the rest of both of their lives. So either it's a wedding, or the opposite, or both might be true, that it might be two people that you thought would never ever split up, that actually decide for both of their mental health and everybody else's benefit that that's exactly what they're going to do. So I'm also feeling that the butterfly numbers, don't know what this has got to do, but anyways, it's obviously about nature. The butterfly numbers are going to be unusual in 2023. No idea what that's about, but that is quite interesting. So my focus just gets drawn down to this W, and I feel like a man with a W name is going to step forward with some information that really shakes people's worlds. It's about taking back power and authority, a leader, like a king, I don't know. I don't know why I'm using those words. All I know is that is definitely stepping forward or stepping up or reclaiming his power or his dignity or his reputation, whatever it happens to be. But I really do feel that it makes a massive difference in the way that people perceive him. and it's very positive for him and for the public at large. I'm also seeing that square makes me think about ballot papers and voting. I feel like I don't know who's going to be voting this year, but whoever is up for elections this year, I do feel that there are going to be a couple of flare-ups, but ultimately everything will be fine. And the news will be not unexpected, or the winner will not be unexpected. So it's pretty predictable. So this person over here depicted on the card makes me think of a shock death of a woman in I don't know if it's the modeling or the acting industry, but she's a star. And I feel like she's quite a reasonably young person, so she's not going to be dying of old age. But I feel like there's a sudden death there. I'm just the eyes just make me think about looking through a microscope. All right, so I'm literally seeing somebody looking through a microscope in a laboratory, and there's discovery of some really strange behaviors of a virus or that of a disease, and this looking through the microscope really creates a better understanding, which creates a medical breakthrough. So I don't know what that's about. As we speak, or as I speak, China is going through a bit of a COVID problem at the moment. So I don't know if it's connected with that finally maybe they figure out more information regarding that virus, or if it's something else. Or I know that there's I think it's measles that's also going around at this stage. But whatever it is, I'm seeing scientists looking through what those things called, microscopes, and creating a breakthrough that's going to be quite well publicized, because it really does help millions of people globally. So I'm just getting the crescent moon here, and I feel like there's news from or about the crescent moon. I don't know what the crescent moon is, possibly Pakistan. But I feel like the crescent moon and a star, I also don't know what the star represents, or which country the star represents, but I feel like there is a bit of political upheaval that's quelled again. Nothing, nothing's resolved. It's just quietened down. So, but I feel like people are just so exhausted and they just want answers and solutions now. But I don't feel like those answers and solutions are going to be forthcoming anytime soon. My eyes just been brought down to the end, the bottom of the card here where it says victory. So I do feel that they are going to get their victory, or people are going to see the victory that they're looking for. So this does look to me like a little bit of a mixed bag globally. I don't think, intellectually, that there's anything that we wouldn't expect. Because I think at this stage, everybody is quite connected with what's going on. But I do feel that it's going to be fine. We're going to be fine, regardless of what it looks like. Even when we go up in flames and we land as ashes, we're still going to be able to rise up as that phoenix, which is very reassuring for me. So that speaks of July, August, and September. So for the last quarter of the year, October, November, and December, let's see what cards we have. And here we have 4 cards to begin with. Totality, which is the 5 of Pentacles. We have Transformation, which in the traditional deck would be Death. Tells me quite big change. and this is turning in. Turning in would be your Four of Cups. And your last card is Control. Control being the King of Swords. Right, let's have a look to see what the cards have to tell us. So the first card talks to me very much about focus, attentiveness, concentration, being alert to possibilities, because when you are, when those trapeze artists are swinging from one trapeze artist to the next one, they have to have total focus and concentration. If one of them loses focus or concentration, it really can mean the end to one or all of them. So this is also talking to me about being timing, being alert to possibilities, being alert to timing, whether the timing's in or the timing's out, and responding to the timing, or responding to the position of things, or responding to the circumstances rather than reacting to it. So, as she swings, she might be a little bit out, and they would sometimes need to get the timing perfect before it would be in everybody's best interest for her to actually let go and trust and have the faith that total surrender will get her to the goal that she's looking at, which in this case would be the other trapeze artist's hands, gripping her. So this is really about, taking life one step at a time, and in dealing with or enjoying or having new possibilities present themselves, maybe in ways or from places that maybe you never expected, and then committing fully to the process, and committing fully to the process is what's going to give you the best results. So if you lose focus, or if you become distracted by less important things, you really are in the danger of taking yourself off course, or maybe missing your goal completely, which for some of you might have dire consequences. This card talks to me again. I just see there's the phoenix that we left off with in the previous 3 months in September. But this again talks to me about endings and beginnings. It talks to me about shifting from one state to another state, cutting through illusions, rejuvenating yourself, taking time to reinvent yourself, transcending the duality of things. And sometimes, giving up is exactly the right thing to do, because giving up actually gives you the ability to get to the next thing, or the next phase, or the next step of whatever it is that you are heading towards. So this is also, giving us the guidance that maybe sometimes when all else has failed, or when we've been, banging our head against the proverbial wall, that sometimes the best thing to do is actually nothing. Sometimes we need to just take some time out to catch our breath, or to get our life back in sync, because sometimes maybe just giving up, just throwing our hands up in the air and going, well, I don't know what the next thing is to do, or the right thing is to do, and that can actually be exactly the right thing for you to do once if you find that everything else hasn't worked out for you, and that could actually just create the outcome that you're looking for. So giving up isn't a negative, and not at all. The giving up can actually be the exact right thing that creates a space that you need as you stop fighting the flow, and you allow the energy just to turn towards the direction of least resistance. to get into the eternal now and allow your future to unfold without the resistance of you pushing or needing or being determined to make it work, because you've got plenty of tools. Here there's a snake and there's a yin yang and a lotus and a sword that looks like a chain. So I'd just say to you, be careful that you're not getting chained to your old things. Be a little bit more flexible. There's good in bad and bad in good. And like the lotus, sometimes the mud can be very useful. Use your mud as compost. Use those bad experiences to grow the best version of you and cut yourself loose from everything that hasn't worked for you. And that will create that situation where the solutions will come forward and you can now reinvent your situation or reinvent your circumstances or reinvent your attitude or reinvent yourself. That will give you a very nice solid base for you to work from. So that's a very positive energy of this card after you're going through all this action orientated, taking your life back, not being too secure within yourself of going, well, I don't know exactly what's going to happen next. I can just trust that it's going to work out. Well, yeah, you're being assured that, if you do the basics and if you use the intellect that you were born with, you'll be absolutely perfectly fine. All right. And I mean, this turning in card pretty much reiterates the fact that you might feel like you're the only one here and you might feel like you can't go through this together, but it just tells you you're not alone. Okay, there are very many people, seen and unseen, that have got your back, that have got your best interests at heart. So you are definitely not alone. You're actually the culmination of everyone and everything that has gone before you. You're a culmination of all of your grandparents' experiences and all of your parents' experiences and all of your friends' experiences and all of your own experiences. And all of the experiences that you've read about in books or watched on shows or seen in movies or whatever the case is, you've got all of this experience that you can draw from that can help you to make decisions that will be in your best interest. So they're just talking about if you take the time, you'll actually find that all the answers that you're actually seeking external to you actually exist inside of you already. So they're just saying, considering introducing some type of meditation or contemplation or prayer time every day, if you don't already, it's just some time to, even if if you take your hot drink and you just spend those minutes just focusing on your hot drink and your breathing. It doesn't have to be anything formal, but really making that a routine just to clear your head, to take a breath, so that you can brace yourself to deal with whatever comes next. So that would be very helpful for a lot of you that are going through a little bit of a traumatic time, a little bit of the up and down, stormy seas kind of thing. But I do feel that your stormy seas are becoming less stormy. Those waves are going to be less big and less treacherous, and that the calm seas are definitely on their way to you. All right, just don't get caught too much in the emotions. So this card talks to me as good as it is for you to be in control and all those kind of things. When you take it to the extreme, control is good as long as it doesn't start controlling you. All right, so your need for control, as soon as it starts creating a negative aspect in your own life, where the need to control starts controlling your happiness or your ability to take advantage of some positive things that are happening in your life. They're just saying taking a little bit of time out to relax or to just live, and that you're not living on your on your nerves or on your adrenaline, because that's not healthy and it's not sustainable for the long term. So it's great to have a little bit of adrenaline. Sometimes it makes you super focused so that you don't miss the opportunity. But there is that need for balance. There is definitely that need for the adrenaline, but also for the peace, calm, and quiet. So they're just saying, You do have the courage and the intellect to be able to achieve everything that you desire. So stop doubting yourself. If you use your logic and your intellect, you will attain your goals, because if you've got focused determination, as they said that you should, that would help you. And once you understand the rules and the structures and the systems, then you can use them to your advantage. But ask and ask an expert for help if you aren't the expert, and if you feel that getting some expert assistance and help will bring you towards your goal quicker, then absolutely do that. But I just feel like this, be careful that you don't just box yourself in through your old habits, or from being unflexible. They've told you to be a bit more flexible, yeah. So they're just telling you not to be too restrictive in your thinking, in your thoughts, because it can be detrimental to you. All right. So having the balance between being completely focused and work orientated during work times and during home times, taking it easy, enjoying family, giving yourself a break, but the balance is definitely what's needed, because like we say, too much of a good thing is bad, and too much of a bad thing is also bad. So the next cards we have, the Ace of Raphael, a positive new emotional experience, fulfilling romantic relationships, deep and lasting spiritual insights. Oh wow, the Wheel is new beginnings, end of delays, a change in direction that offers happiness. And we have the Page of Michael, an exciting new challenge. You have what it takes to succeed. Review contracts or documents very thoroughly. And at that point, I want to say, you see, I told you so. I love the cards. So first up, the Ace of Raphael, talking to us about October, November, and December 2023, ending the last quarter of the year, and a new and positive cycle that's busy beginning. So that sounds good to me. Having just come out of 2022, thinking we're going into a new cycle, this definitely, from what we've said here before, looks like if it keeps improving and it keeps heading in the direction that the cards have indicated through the rest of the quarters that we've seen, that we're definitely heading into a far more positive, far more calm cycle. So that's great. That makes me feel quite happy to know that. So they are talking here about obviously new relationships. Just with those dolphins, they always indicate either partnership, romantic partnership, or family. But obviously it can also be a career. So just trusting yourself to create some deep personal connections, and maybe receiving some profound insights. Be careful that your emotions don't get the best of you. There is also a possibility of improvements at home or in a home, or this is what drew my attention earlier, was that the house. So some of you might be getting a new home, or relocating, maybe somewhere that's a little bit more rural. But I do feel that building your future on solid ground and feeling more stable is definitely the direction that the energy is moving into. And the Wheel of Fortune really, it encourages us with the message of exciting changes coming, rewards for hard work put in, there's not the time to take your foot off the gas now. Stay focused, stay in control of yourself and your life and your situation, because you are heading in the direction of success. That wheel goes round. So where we were at the beginning of the year, we were somewhere, or the end of 22, we were somewhere over here, and we had to go through the bottom of the hill and hold bottom of the wheel and hold our breath underwater with all those emotions. And now we are starting to head all the way back up again. So considering that if you are heading in the direction of your success, obviously you don't want to give that up. So keep putting your effort in, keep putting your focus in, keeping solution orientated, and all of that will get you to what you want. However, reminding that if you stop, it will stop. So your effort is the water that turns the wheel. So if you stop, it will stop. So please keep going. But remembering that wheel is constantly turning. So don't get too caught up in dramas, in news, in life, because, sometimes these things, well, they happen, they happen to everyone. But if you can avoid the squabbles and avoid the dramas and avoid the bad news and the stuff that causes us distractions and that makes the news agencies and the family have something to talk over. If we can avoid that and just hold our breath while we're going through it, I do feel that is going to enable you to keep your peace, and then your peace will begin to happen. Okay, so internal peace will create external peace. And you've got to create the external peace, and then you'll feel peaceful on the inside as well. So it really is an interchangeable scenario. Just as I said, with that yin and yang, there's good and bad and good. So there is a little bit of each on both sides. The page of Michael also talks to me about I feel for a lot of people, maybe travel or change. I do feel that there is, this reminds me very much about Europe. So some of you might be traveling to Europe, or getting news from Europe, or learning more about one of the more, the older places in Europe. So possibly along the coast. So I would say sort of Spain, Portugal, somewhere around there. But I feel like this is that maybe if you're considering, changing your job or traveling or educating or changing your relationship status, or something along those lines, that I do feel that you're going to hear the news or get the information or get the necessary wisdom that's going to put you in a position to be able to light up your light bulb, because he looks to me. Let me hold this up a little bit closer, get the camera to focus on it. You'll see here there's a light bulb that he's holding over there, so it looks like he's trying to harness the lightning flash that can go down. He's a brave guy. The lightning flash to go down to light his light bulb. So, but this is about new ideas. I certainly would say don't hold a kite up in the middle of a storm, because you're likely to light up a whole lot more things than just the light bulb. But they're just talking about the fact of new ideas and new travel and new information and new wisdom being gained here. I would also say to you that, if you are perhaps considering changing jobs or business or something along those lines, or if you're going into, a new stage in your relationship, and if there are any legalities that need to be covered, whether it's legal documents or contracts that need to be written up, or whatever the case is, that you just go through them thoroughly before putting your paw print to them, before agreeing to them in any way. Just make sure that you understand the consequences of what it is that you are agreeing to. Like I said, this guy doesn't understand the consequences of flying his kite in stormy weather and thinking his light bulb's going to light up. But yes, I do feel that there are a couple little obstacles that still need to be overcome. There's being fenced in. Some of you might feel like you're being a little bit fenced in, but I don't feel like it's a big deal. I feel like it's easily overcome. Don't be at all surprised if it feels to me like, and I know in the Northern Hemisphere you have winter around about the November, December period, which in the Southern Hemisphere is our summer, but there might be sort of unprecedented weather in terms of snowfall, maybe earlier snowfall or snowfall in places where it never fell or it hasn't fallen in a long time. But I do feel that there's some news regarding snowfall. It could be causing a little bit of havoc in terms of travel, or it could be causing havoc in terms of the farmers' fields if they hadn't yet harvested their their crops or whatever the case is. So I do feel that that is something that's important that needs to be known about. What else is there that's reasonably general? Well, let's have a look to see what's all. I'm just seeing here in the forests, you're probably going to hear about like a species of something. I don't know, maybe some type of a small mammal that now goes onto the almost extinct list. I don't know who makes this almost extinct list, but I feel like there's a little bit of bad news in terms of this mammal that lives in the forest that is now its habitat's been destroyed, so it's now endangered. Oh, I thought I was going to get something positive. Let's look for what is positive. Herbal stuff. So you might find that alternative medicine in terms of herbs, so whether that's cannabis or mushrooms, whatever the case is, I do feel that there is going to be some political breakthroughs, so legislative breakthroughs that's going to make it legal in more places. So there might still be restrictions on it, that you would need to still get a prescription or can only get it from a certain place for a certain reason, whatever the case is. But I do feel that there's more places that are opening up for that, or the benefits are becoming better known or better understood, or that there are there's more research that's going into it that is going to prove what people have been saying all along. Okay. So yes, that's a nice positive. I'm also just looking at the water here. I'm also getting the information to say that the water is being cleared. So where this water looks like it's got a lot of algae and pollutants in it. And they're just telling me that there is sort of legislation or headways being made that allows for that water clarity to be returned. So there's definitely improvements in the water. Here, October, November, December, it looks like, I think this might be a volcano, or news of a volcano or volcanic eruption that happens. But I'm just getting the fact that it's like a new island is created or something along those lines. But I'm just getting something that involves a volcano. Yeah, I don't know where there's like a circle. I'm just getting the circle of, there's like a whole bunch of volcanoes in a circle. And I feel like there's some activity in that circle again. But probably a new island that's going to rise up or rise out of that. But there's definitely volcanic activity there that I can see. Now, this is interesting. I don't know why, and I don't know what this relates to, but using it's common knowledge that there are nations that use dolphins for security, but I also feel like the dolphins are being used as spies. So that's quite interesting. So I feel like more dolphins are being fitted with equipment that allows them to spy on submarines or spy on underwater facilities or whatever the case is. Okay, so I do feel like there's wildlife that's been trained or being used for the benefit of the people on land. So I don't know if that already exists, but that just came to mind. Right, let's see what the next couple of cards say. So we have Lady of the Gift, generosity, receiving, withholding. Queen of the Light, illumination, enlightenment, celebration. Just seeing she's balancing these two balls here. So I'm going to have a look to see what that is. And then we have cosmos, creativity, and vastness. Let me just adjust these cards. So the first card up, Lady of the Gift, generosity, receiving, and withholding, talks to me very much, as we've said here in the second card, about the balance of giving and receiving. So remember, and it's been repeated many times by me, in your giving, remember that you need to also be receiving, because every giver needs a receiver. So it's no good if you're just giving. You also need to be open to receiving. So that would tell me, for those of you that do prayers and sending healing energy out to whoever and whatever is needing it, remember that, to be open to, first of all, receiving messages, so intuition, to gifts being given to you from strangers or from loved ones or friends, because those are all the ways that the universe keeps the cycle going, the wheel going, the wheel turning. So if you give out, you need to have something that's filling you back up. So it might be something that you need, or the universe is expressing gratuity to you for sending that out. So please remember that don't insult the universe or anybody else by saying, no, it's fine, I don't want it, I don't need it. Take it, and then you can always pass it forward or pass it along. But they're just telling you that part of that giving and receiving process is also about remembering to keep some out for yourself. So in your receiving, also remember to leave some for the giver, and to treat people the way that you want to be treated. So again, that excess is never a good thing. Taking everything is not good, giving everything isn't good. So knowing that, keeping a little bit for yourself, being able to say no or not yet, is good for everybody, because then you're not going to land in that, what we saw previously, in the previous 3 months, of being completely depleted and worn out and all those things. Remember, this has been all about trusting and having faith and maintaining the flow, because it's the flow that makes the wheel go round. So they're really talking about the flow. In fact, in all of these cards, they're talking very much about the flow. And the Queen of Lights, again, we've got the balancing of things. So this also talks to me about success in all your ventures, and some of your most important paths are maybe being illuminated and inspired, and you need to be practical and logical and intelligent and determined, and follow your instincts, and you'll find ways to enjoy things that meet all of your needs. And you will be rewarded for your perseverance, and also in your willingness to learn. So they spoke about learning, and utilizing nature. Okay, they spoke about a little bit of a different way over there, but this is also just about learning inspired action, learning in divine guidance, learning how to utilize your internal knowledge, or your learned experiences for your own good and for the greater good as well. So allowing or understanding that true wealth, and for some of you, obviously, this is actual wealth, but that true wealth resides within a peace, within peace, harmony, and a sense of purpose. So if you've got the peacefulness, as I spoke of, yeah, if you've got the peacefulness externally, and you've got the peacefulness internally, that's going to turn that wheel of fortune so that you benefit from it, and by leading your balanced life, and balancing some out to include that you also a person, that will actually give you quite a nice positive balanced outcome. And they just the cosmos just talks about because your creative energy is also the energy of nurturing. So by nurturing yourself will create the creative energy, which will put you in touch with the pure potential of the universal energies, that the cosmic energies, which will then allow all that giving and receiving to happen. Because as you know, the story is, as is below, so is above, and in all directions, so inwards, so outwards. So no matter which way you look at it, they want the energy, the cosmic energy, to flow through you, and that will then create the success, and the good positive outcomes. So if you're going to choose to live in a state of pure potential, in making your choices, you are going to live a life of solutions. And when you live in a life of good intentions for all, yourself included, that also gives you the energy of being open to receive, being open to be used by the universe, to bless others, to bless yourself, to get balance. And I feel like then you've got a successful business ventures possible. Again, there's I feel like you can build a bigger house, or a better house, or a more stable house, refurbish the old house. So that tells me maybe if you have been going through, like housing crisis, that you are then able to take advantage of new energy to sort out your situation in a way that wasn't previously possible. All right. So there's a weird little blip here on the picture, and I'm going to bring it up close so that we can see exactly what it is. It looks like a bat to me, and as we all know, bats work with radar in order to find their prey and navigate the night skies. So again, that makes me think very much about using your intuition to guide you when things are a little bit on the dark side. Another thing that before I saw with my physical eyes that it was a bat, it made me think very much about, and this is why it didn't make any sense to me, which is why I lifted up the card, is that it made me think of a whale. And I suppose the whale and the bat use the same type of system where the whale uses its sonar to navigate, to go places and to find mates and to find food. And, so it's using that, the grid, and we don't have the grid in this spread with these 3 months, but I know that earlier we were speaking about a grid, and I can't recall now which months it was, but that the grid being restored, and it could be the intuition grid, the cosmic grid, the telepathy grid, that more people are getting aligned with nature or aligned with themselves, their higher selves, that allows us to become a little bit more compassionate with the world around us as well as with ourselves. So, in other words, more people choosing peace and less people choosing drama. So they're talking about, it's fine to be in control, except when the control starts controlling you. So less people are choosing the control that's controlling them, and they are choosing more to be in control of themselves, which is very much aligned with what these cards are telling me about. I'm also getting that it looks like there is I want to say a mine, or there's a discovery that's going to happen in a mine, or as a result of mining, where there's going to be news about a new deposit of minerals, or a new, some new crystals that are found, or more, gem quality, whatever's that are found. But I feel like there's a discovery that includes that includes discovering something underground that they didn't know was there. Yeah, they didn't know that was there. I'm just getting this. I picked up this the Spanish or Portuguese link. It was in that thing. Yeah, I'm seeing it here again. The castles. So wherever there are, I know that there's loads of castles in England as well. What's up with that? I feel like as much as they are trying, I think this is the UK, as much as they wanting to sort of ruin the castle, which I suppose would indicate the monarchy, as much as they're trying to ruin the monarchy or bring it down, or something along that, I do feel that it's almost like it's under attack from like in the old days, with people slinging rocks and whatever, pots of oil and stuff at it. But I don't feel that, even though it may be tarnished on the outside, I feel like it's quite strong. So I feel, and in fact I feel like more people come to its aid than had previously. So if anybody's sort of concerned about that kind of thing, like I say, I don't know very much about that, but it does feel to me, if you're worried about that, there's nothing for you to be worried about. A little bit of rocky ground, but it's safe, it's secure, it's very solid, and it's a fortress. Right, and then we have take action. Wow. Well, they have said to you, you've got everything at your disposal. Now it's up to you what you do with that information and those opportunities. So absolutely take advantage of where you're at. There is definitely the opportunity for your star to rise, for your ability to improve your situation, for you to get ahead of where you were, and I feel like there's only one way up here, and And I feel like there's nothing that's stopping you. This is really just, if you are focused and determined and do all the other things that we spoke about, you can honestly end your year off better than when you began it. So take action. And we have the aspects of self, where we're going to have a look at some global information here. Oh, look at this. Here we've got the crystals again. Okay, so yes, good news on the mining front, or in the mining sector, maybe a big discovery, or a major breakthrough that creates financial wealth and financial flow. It's a nice positive way to start. Judgment is talking about the balance again, the having control by releasing some control, focusing on what's been. So definitely the balance is what's important here. So again, I'm going to say a quote that I have no idea where it comes from. So if you do know, please insert it in the comments. But the quote is, "Oh, what wicked webs we weave when first we practice to deceive." And my guides are saying to me that Africa is on the map again, or on the internet again, for dealings or arrangements done behind closed doors. So it feels to me that's a little bit of a flimsy bridge of promises and lies that's being built, that's just going to ensnare all of those who fail to recognize the illusions and the traps. Yes, what is home to the spider is hell to the fly, as they say. So there is definitely that trap, being entrapped, trapping themselves. I'm sure we spoke about this earlier. He has this flying Pegasus, or this flying unicorn again. This again, it feels to me like the news regarding deaths. Sorry to I seem like I've mentioned that many times, but I feel like this is going to create the spiral of movement. It's that it's in the Wheel of Fortune, then you're living, then you're reincarnating, if reincarnation is something that you deal with. But the spiral of the souls, some going out, some coming in. Wherever there's a death, there's also a birth. So that also comes up for us. I do think that we're going to hear a lot of deaths, sort of the Asian side, which I suppose we can, hear in the very beginning of January 2023, we can anticipate with COVID raging in China at the moment, and I'm quite sure that it's much worse than what we even it's being reported on. But this also talks to me about, I don't know, it's like there's this, I'm just picking up on the bridge again, and this blackbird, which I'm just seeing as a crow or a raven for those of you that are not in my country. But this feels to me like there's a bridge between two worlds, between the life and the death, or between the haves or the have-nots, or the us and the them. And I feel like words are being given that are going to inspire and motivate. It's sort of creating a situation where people will want to, I feel like new leaders step up to inspire and motivate people to step across the bridge that they don't currently feel is strong enough to carry them, or that they haven't stepped across before. So again, I know earlier they were mentioning things like uprisings and revolutions and that kind of stuff. So I do think that that is related to that, where the people don't realize what they can do if they just did it. They've been conditioned not to step across the bridge. And as soon as the one person goes over, the others will follow. So the irises just talk to me very much about compassion and working together, and working as part of each other. And this green reptile makes me think about a salamander. Now, the salamander, as some of you might know, has got the properties the same as a starfish and an octopus and a couple of other things, where it can heal itself. And I feel like the irises are telling me, together with the salamander, saying, well, we know what situation we're currently in, or we've been in, and we're going to use our compassion to heal ourselves in ways that we never thought were possible up until this point. And I feel like that healing of self and healing of emotions and healing of situations is really going to bring through a lot of good energy, and a lot. It's going to almost make the earth happy, Mother Gaia happy. I feel like there is protection that is going to be needed, which we've got. I don't feel like there's a protection problem, but I do feel that there might be some news where there might be rumors of terrorism or factions coming up, or whatever the case is, that people need to beef up their security. But what they're saying, don't live under that fear. Know that when you have the compassion, you're going to create the healing that's needed, that's going to mitigate that so-called fear that's going to be used in order to control you unnecessarily. So they're just bringing my attention down here to the pyramid at the bottom of the card. And they're just saying, there is an ascension process that is in the process of happening. And what that means is that people can choose their realities, and you are going to choose whichever reality it is that you're focused on. It doesn't matter which part you're coming from. Eventually everybody will get there, but that you use your past experience as your solid base and make your way up towards the compassion and the connectedness. And these quartz crystals make me think, because they are the master healer crystal, a clear quartz crystal is, and they're also the crystal that gets used. So these quartz crystals just show me again, because the clear quartz is a master healer, and it's gets used in technology to create focus and to maintain focus in order to be used like a magnifying glass. And they're just saying, if you stay focused on that, the tide will lift and all the ships will rise and everybody will benefit from that. So that's a lovely card to finish the year out on. Definitely looks to me like we're heading in the right direction. So thanks for watching. If you found any value whatsoever, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. See you again. Bye for now.